Okay everyone, we're going to get started. Good afternoon and welcome to the Australian Lebanese Chamber of Commerce Lunch. I'm Kieran Gilbert from Sky News and it's an absolute delight to be here again once a year. What a cracking day for this, the main event of the year for the Chamber of Commerce, and it's great to see so many friends, in fact a few relatives as well in the room as well. I'd like to thank our sponsors today, the event sponsor, Institute of Training, the Chamber of Commerce's official partner, the Arab Bank Australia, the diamond sponsor, TradeLink, the platinum sponsors, Commonwealth Bank, and that fine radio station, Radio 2GB. To provide his official welcome though, please put your hands together. Now for the President of the Chamber of Commerce, Mr. Joe Qatar, AM.
His Excellency George Bitar Ghanem, Consul General of Lebanon. His Excellency, I think he's running a little bit late, our new ordained Bishop, Dr. Antoine Charbel Tarabai, head of the Catholic Maronite Church in Australia and New Zealand. The Honourable Scott Morris, MP, Shadow Minister for the Immigration and Citizenship. The Honourable Philip Raddock, MP, Member for Barara. Senator Bill Heffernan. The Honourable John Ajeka, MLC. Distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen. It gives me a great pleasure to welcome you on behalf of the Chamber's Board of Directors to this year's annual business luncheon. We are delighted to have Mr. Scott Morris, Shadow Minister for Immigration and Citizenship, as our guest speaker for the day.
It's a great pleasure to be here with all of you today. It's such a tremendous crowd. It's like being at one big family gathering, and as I've moved around and got to talk to people, it's just tremendous to see the tremendous spirit of camaraderie and family that exists in a gathering like this. It's certainly what I was able to share when I was in Lebanon recently, actually with Tony Burke. So it happened, and it's tremendous to be here with you today. Can I particularly thank Joe Qatar for his welcome today to be here with you all. Thank you very much, Joe. It's also great to have so many leading lights of the Lebanese business community here, and I'll make mention of some of those particularly in my remarks, but to the Consul General also, who is here with us today. It's great to have you here, and the incredible relationship that exists, not just between Australia and Lebanon, but in particular this wonderful city and Lebanon. And this city has a rich experience of Lebanese heritage that runs through it. And as a Sydney boy, it is something that I'm extremely proud to be part of. And it is a diverse, it's a vibrant, it's an exciting community, it's a dynamic community. But one of the things that I think above all and beyond all of that, I think is its entrepreneurial spirit. And when I think of people like John Simon, who is sitting with me here at the table, and people like Joseph Asaf and others who are just such pillars of the community here, but also are pillars of our business community as well. I think it just demonstrates that fine entrepreneurial spirit, can-do spirit that exists with those of Lebanese heritage here in Australia. Now, Australia has always been the place of the fair go for those who have a go. And I think nothing better demonstrates that than the contribution of the Lebanese community here in Australia, and particularly here in Sydney. Our country has earned a well-earned reputation as being arguably the most successful and cohesive multi-ethnic society in the world today. Was the opportunity to listen to the migrant stories from Lebanon and to visit the villages from which the vast majority of Australians with Lebanese heritage have come from to this country. The Migration Heritage Centre estimates that by 1901 there are around 1,500 Lebanese-born residents in Australia, and who called New South Wales home. And by 1945, there was at least one Lebanese small business in almost every urban and rural centre across the state of New South Wales. And business networks began to flourish. And by 2006, There were 74,000 Lebanese-born residents in Australia and an estimated 350,000 people who claimed Lebanese ancestry. And it reminded me of something when I think about those statistics that Sir Henry Parkes, the father of Federation, said about what the future of Australia would be. And this was at a time when there were over 1,000 people of Lebanese background who were already in Australia at that time, and that wave of migration had already begun. And this is what he said about the Federation. He said, "What we are doing by this great federal movement is not for us, but for them, for the untold millions that will follow us, until this land of Australia shall gather within its bosom all the fruits of the culture of the world, and until the flag of freedom shall be planted here so firmly and guarded with such fervent patriotism that all the powers on earth shall never assault it."
And now to something I alluded to a bit earlier, from one of our sponsors, a media personality. I think many of you, in fact most of you will know, everyone's trying to get on the Lebanese bandwagon, claim some sort of Lebanese heritage, including this young man. He's a very talented broadcaster. He does the Drive program on Radio 2GB. He's on the Today Show of a morning as well. And just to try and drill down into his claim of Lebanese heritage, I'd like to welcome him to the stage, Mr. Ben Fordham, ladies and gentlemen.
Kieran, good afternoon.
It's lovely to have you here, Ben.
Lovely to be here, mate. It's great to be among fellow Lebanese, you know.
Yeah, so now that's the great start for this, because I've heard you on Radio 2GB. It's a great show, I enjoyed it a lot.
Thank you very much.
Why the claim of Lebanese heritage?
Well, as you know, we've known each other for 20 odd years, and I think it was about 20 years ago that you made me an honorary Leb. And I've stuck with it ever since. I fell in love with the food, and I fell in love with you and your brother. And then from then on, it kind of went from there. And I remember about 10 years ago, I was going to the Middle East for a backpacking tour. And Kieran said, "Mate, you're going to Lebanon, aren't you?" And I said, "Mate, I hadn't planned on it. And he said, "Mate, please, you claim to be half Lebanese." So I said, "Well, I better go." And I went to Lebanon and had the time of my life. I think I did not pay for one thing in the 2 weeks that I was in Lebanon, because no one would let me pay for anything because everyone was so generous. And ever since, I've now got neighbours who are Lebanese next door. Both of their parents live around the corner from me in Redfern. They have regular Lebanese feasts. So it just kind of fits the appetite more than anything, and my love for the passion of the Lebanese people, that I've always claimed I'm half Lebanese.
Okay, and before you go, Ben, I'm sure you'll all agree, an honorary Leb, definitely. I want you to lead us in the traditional, you know this from the Lebanese weddings you've been to, Benny. What do they do at the Lebanese weddings?
I've grown the business basically from a small organisation based in one suburb of Parramatta through to Australia-wide. We've just opened in Dublin. Next month we're opening in Korea. And Fiji as well, we've already opened. Well, the business is basically focusing mainly on construction industry. We do apprenticeships. We also can recognise prior learning for the building industry. We do work cover training, carpenters, builders, painters, tilers, bricklayers, mainly focusing on the construction industry, Australia-wide. and also helping people from overseas recognise their skills so then they can migrate here and work in Australia. The Lebanese community have basically built Sydney. Most of the successful builders out there are Lebanese. All of my business is focused, or 90% of my business is focused on the Lebanese, or on the construction industry, which is mainly Lebanese run. We've got more recognition for the Institute of Training. We've already got, from today, we've already got 30 to 50 inquiries from the community and for people that are wanting to use our services. The venue here is absolutely fantastic. They have a lot of people want to come to it. It's very popular. A lot of people get disappointed. They can't make it, and honestly, it's one of the most successful functions that I've ever been to. Very well organised. You've got ministers, you've got everyone attending. Need more seats.